Because let's say somebody is being tried for robbing somebody's home. Can you really blame them? Because they didn't really have a choice, either by circumstance or DNA, whatever it was.
Throw your headphones on. Sit back and relax. Let's take reality for a ride.
We are moving past prophecy. We want to talk about accountability because the question was like, prophecy and destiny, they kind of revolve around the same subfields. So if we are saying we have no or limited free will, then how are we as human beings supposed to take accountability for anything we do at all? Because there are like social institutions around, and I can't just wake up and, like you said yesterday, Joe, I can't just wake up and go to the US border and be like, hey, let me cross over. Like, there are actual like laws around which we have to obey. So how do these laws help shape our free will? Do they contain the already limited free will we have? So that's what I want to ask Krishna.
The thought makes me sad that we don't have all that much of free will. And I don't personally want to buy into the idea that we should just be passive, especially when it comes to behaviors that quote unquote are not normal and border to sometimes even crime. How much can you hold the person accountable and then thereby punish them in various lengths? Because I think that is one very extreme but kind of critical area to look at. Because let's say somebody is being tried for robbing somebody's home. Can you really blame them? Because they didn't really have a choice, either by circumstance or DNA, whatever it was. They didn't really make a choice. So can you really punish them? So should you just be passive or exercise limited control and hopefully one day have enough capacity to control your own impulses and maybe then make apparently a different choice than you were inevitably going to make if you didn't even exercise a little bit of self-control on that impulse?
Joe?
Well, I think Krishna hit the nail there on the head. And I think that's why it's important to have these sort of conversations. Because if most people are operating on a default setting, then their default setting would drive them to act on their impulses. And if their predetermined impulse is to be, a robber or a thief or a murderer, right? And you're just operating on default, thinking you're in control when you're not really, that's one thing. But if people can learn that there is a small window where you can exercise your will with practice, then maybe that turns a person, maybe, right? So in the past, in my 20s, I used to be very short-tempered. And my mom would say, you got to watch that temper because it runs in the family. So that basically means that I was acting in a way that I was like biologically predetermined to behave, right? It was in my genes, right? She was like, your grandpa was like that, like your uncles are like that. And that made me pause, like, why should I behave in ways simply because it's something that I was like essentially biologically programmed to do? Now, there are situations that pop up and I can feel the anger arise. I can't control that, right? But it doesn't, like, it's not like an intense anger anymore as it used to be where I would lose control. Now, with the exercise and this limited free will, when I start to feel the emotion, I am now able to take a step back from it and not react in anger. And by not reacting, right, I said free won't. That small window that I'm able to go, you know what, this is something that I'm pre-programmed to do, but I'm not going to do that, right? Think about how many atrocities could be stopped in this world if people learned that, if the majority of people paused right? And think about how many atrocities that, like, majority of atrocities that happen because people just react, right? So I do make a distinction, right, between, I keep saying it's a default setting. It's a default setting, but there is a small window. If you want to control things, you can control things. Hey, I could decide, fuck it, I'm gonna wear a tutu tomorrow, right? And I've been slowly sort of working towards that. Not necessarily in the sense of like, okay, I'm going to wear a tutu outside, but in the way that I express myself.